What's up guys, my name is Heroes here on this Monster Hunter World video. We're going to be counting down the top 10 monsters in Monster Hunter Worlds. Of course, this one does not include the Devil Joe because he's not currently out, but shout out to the Devil Joe because he is an amazing looking monster. In this video, this is all based on majorly my opinion, as well as the opinion of a bunch of other people who have hundreds of hours in the game, as well as research that I did online about all the different monsters and the things that I have and have not fought. The footage that was recorded in this video was actually from Blatnak. Make sure you check out his link in the description down below. Go check him out. He speaks Spanish. He pronounces the names of the monsters a little bit different, which make them sound even cooler, like the Nergigante instead of the Nergigante, as they say in the game. It's the Nergigante. And there's lots of fun little monsters and awesome monsters in this game that we're going to be going over. And if you do end up liking this video, make sure you leave a like down below so other people can see this video in the future. And of course, subscribe for more Monster Hunter top 5s and top 10s in the future. And of course, if you do not want any spoilers, make sure you click away right now because this video is going to be only spoilers about the monsters you probably haven't fought, mostly higher rank monsters. If you think you finished the game and you just approach high rank, there's a lot more monsters you still haven't seen, so make sure you click away now. So coming up at number 10 in this list of top monsters in Monster Hunter Worlds is going to be the Dodo Gamma, otherwise known as the Lava Toad. Is it just me or does this guy look really cute? Like, if you ever fought him, he waddles around like around his little fat little belly trying to figure it out. His fat kind of wobbles. He's got this giant underjaw chin where he starts gobbling down on a bunch of different crystals in the area, and you think, oh, this guy is cute, you know, until he literally blasts you with a giant molten blast, apparently called a blast blight, and you suddenly explode. Not an incredibly difficult monster to fight, but definitely something that's really fun to fight, especially when you first see him in the kind of lava crystal area and around 7-star monsters. This one is definitely one of those guys that you just love seeing around, and he's just kind of chomping down on some food, and you just say, hey, look, it's the Dodo Gamma. Coming up next at number 9 is gonna be the Kirin, otherwise known as the Screunicorn, because everybody loves the way this guy looks, loves the weapons and the armor that it produces, but absolutely hates fighting this person. You're probably familiar with it in other monsters in Monster Hunter World and the other previous Monster Hunters, but you just can't wait to fight them again, and then the Kirin quest pops up and you think, oh, fuck that guy, that ludicrously powerful AoE lightning attack. But Kirin is also one of the most majestic looking motherfuckers in the whole game. You gotta give it points for beauty and also creative character design. Overall, it literally just looks like a unicorn with some kind of like electrical mane on it. It shoots out AoE electrical attacks, so for the most part you gotta be very quick, very fast in the fight. Just do a couple of small little attacks and then kind of run away from his obvious electrical attacks. Have to have a huge resistance to electricity, otherwise you're gonna get stun locked over and over and over again and just get killed by his AoE stun locks and then die. Of course, that making it a very difficult fight to have. The reason why this thing isn't higher up in the list is because of the fact you don't see him that often. He's very late in the game and he's very ludicrously powerful and annoying to fight, and to be fairly honest, I don't really personally like his armor, although his weapons are pretty good. Coming up at number 8 in this list is going to be the Anjanette, otherwise known as Barney. Monster Hunter World's poster boy does not disappoint. This big fiery T-Rex is one of the most satisfying fights in the entire game. If you've never fought him, he is basically the staple of creativity for all the different monsters in this game. He is a pink T-Rex with fur along his back that shoots fire when he gets enraged and has these wings as well as a fan on the top of his head that sprout out when he roars at you. This monster is amazing character design as well as a very fun fight to have. This guy is kind of a mix between aggressive and docile. It's great to get right underneath him and literally knock his legs out from underneath him. And of course, he also doesn't stay on the ground for very long. You stumble him and knock him down, he stays on the ground for maybe like 1 or 2 hits before he gets back up and starts fighting you again. This guy's an absolute menace, especially early in the game when you literally see him fighting your first monster. You're fighting at Great Jagras and all of a sudden this giant Anjanette just comes out of nowhere and totally destroys you when you're supposed to be fighting him like 7 or 8 monsters in the future. Coming up at number 7 is gonna be the Rathalos slash the Rathian. Rathalos being the male version, Rathian being the female version, but more specifically Rathalos being the more difficult fight because he flies in the sky. This one is known as King of the Skies, otherwise known as King Wrath. Rathalos is literally the staple of what you'd understand as a dragon. Spikes, horns, big wings, giant jaw, claws, tail, exactly how you'd imagine a dragon to be in all of its awesomeness and glory, but plus a little bit more with a giant spiky tail that inflicts poison on you. That's an incredibly difficult fight to fight because he's always flying in the air. You gotta use flash pods to bring him down. This is one of more difficult fights, especially on solo when the first time you see him, he is an incredibly difficult one to fight. Of course, there are other versions of Rathaloses and Rathian. There's a pink Rathian, which is the harder subspecies of Rathians, as well as a blue Rathalos, which you're seeing in this video. Normally, the Rathalos is red. At some point during the actual recording of this, there was a red Rathalos that also appeared and joined the fight, as well as a Bassel Juice. Who would have guessed a Bassel Juice coming to join a monster fight? That's what, every time I see one of those guys just come join a monster fight, I'm just like, all right, I'm just gonna sit back, you have fun, destroy him, I'll be over here. Speaking of Bassel Juice, he's coming up at number 6. He's that amazing monster. If you've never seen him before, you always look at him when he comes join a large monster fight and think, hey, I could take that guy. And then all of a sudden, he starts to B-52 bomb you and going back and forth for 3 or 4 bombing runs, and you literally get put down into dust. Definitely one of the more creative designs on monsters. Big Baz will literally tear you apart, and every time you see him, you're always seeing him while fighting another monster. This monster is incredibly territorial, aggressive. Anytime he ever sees a large monster, he's in it for the fight. He's going to fight that monster pretty much no matter what and absolutely tear him apart with his bombs, with his grapple abilities, his giant ass head, with the little nut bombs that are on his chin as well as his tail. This monster is an amazing character design. I love him. He first appears in the kind of a lava crystal area, but he definitely starts appearing all over the entire island once you uncover him. Coming into the top 5 monsters in this game at number 5 is gonna be the Rhoda Bond, otherwise known as the spiky spinny monster. This one is a very fun spin, get it, on a classic monster known as the Uragon, which is actually one of the harder versions of him in the later areas. However, this one is a cooler looking monster with horns and spikes and very asymmetrical looking face with horns going every different directions. He's actually a pretty tough monster to fight when he's really angry, and once you kill 5 of them, you can get one of the funniest armors in the game. You literally can make your Palico look like an astronaut and like roly-poly armor. For you, it also looks like a badass looking monster, look like you're from the moon or whatnot. It's so cool. It also is just amazing to fight. This monster literally just rolls from one side of the arena to the next and just tries to fight you. If you hit him while he's rolling, he actually starts to stumble and do this weird kind of glitchy stumble roll on him, and he's so funny to hit. As well as fighting him is also not that difficult because one of his weak points is his legs, so stay right underneath him and start knocking out his shins, and it's actually a fun monster to fight. Coming up at number 4 in this top 10 monsters in Monster Hunter World is gonna be the Teostruck. Now that is an Elder Dragon. I mean, face, big mane, fur, claws, resplendent dignity, literally the incarnation of regal absolute power. I feel like every time I fight him, he's gonna give me like a fortune cookie of wisdom. Not only that, he's not an aggressive monster. If you see him out in the wild, you can literally just walk up in front of him. He'll just look at you and then look away and just not care that you're there until you obviously start fighting him, of course. This fight is also a very difficult fight because he kind of emanates fire and heat around him, damaging you literally just from attacking him as well as standing near him. Definitely one of the difficult fights to fight, but if you have a cooldown in your pocket or you just have lots of health potions, it shouldn't be that difficult to fight. Of course, he is an Elder Dragon, and definitely there's a lot to learn from him. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why isn't this Fire Lion at like number 1, 2, or 3? How did he not crack the top 3 monsters? And that's because these top 3 monsters are amazing. They're creative, they're awesome, and coming up at number 3 is gonna be the Loomuno. Now, this is one of the most creative uses of cute and kawaii in the game. It's like a furry bat as well as a kind of mouse-like face. However, bats kind of have mice-like face. This is very much like a mouse, very kind of smooth skin, but lots of white fur around him, and his most impressionable attack is going to be where he inflates his neck to a giant balloon, and he just starts blowing you back, almost literally blowing you back with an attack. A gust of wind makes this monster so interesting to fight, so cute. It's definitely one of those poster boys of kawaii-ness in this game, and definitely one of the most beloved enemies in this game. If you do end up killing him, he has this unique armor set that gives you this kind of Eskimo Russian outfit in the cold kind of look, and it's very cute and fluffy. And overall, I'd like to say you should definitely equip your Palico with some Loomuno armor because that is adorable as hell. Coming up to the final 2 monsters in Monster Hunter Worlds, this was a very close one. This number 2 was an amazing monster, is one of my most favorite monsters in the game, one of the best armors in the game. It just so happens number 2 is just slightly more awesome. Coming in at number 2 is gonna be the Nergigante. literally what we know as the Elder Dragon Eater. He literally eats Elder Dragons. This thing is amazing. He's got giant horns that bulge out in the middle section to make it look more powerful, more girthy. He's got spikes all over his dragon-like carapace that start off white and turn black as you go through the fight, which means he's doing more damage, and even has a literal one-shot attack once he gets a full black horns, spikes all over his body, and tries to hit you with it, which is a huge area of attack. And if you do end up dodging this attack and not getting one shot, his horns goes back to white and he has to recharge that kind of attack. But this fight is definitely amazing. If you want to kind of stop his horns from growing black, all you have to do is start smacking on those horns, but these horns go all over his body, so you have to start smacking on all the different horns all over his body to stop him from doing that one-hit attack, or just start running around like a chicken without a head, because this monster is definitely incredibly difficult to fight and one of the coolest armor sets in the game. It feels like literally Lucifer gave you this armor piece himself. Honorable mention to the Diablos, who also looks very similar. Big old horns that kind of is more low to the ground, less aggressive, but definitely one of those monsters that look really, really cool and very similar to the Nergigante, but Nergigante is definitely much, much more powerful than him. Now, coming up at number 1 in the top 10 monsters in Monster Hunter Worlds is gonna be the Elder Dragon known as Valhassak. Master of Death, garbed in entrails, everything quakes before it. It literally emerges from a pile of dead bodies. One of the few genuinely disturbing monsters on the rosters, with the alien flavor to its design and the medieval kind of executioner hood on him, with like body parts looking like it's dropping off of him, with the double mandible like jaw to him. This monster is amazing looking, the armor is cool looking, and the fight is ridiculous to fight. If you've never fought him before, he has this type of effect that he has in the area called Efflusium, which literally lowers your maximum health, literally kills you. He also has a secondary attack where he sucks the Efflusium right off of you, and it almost always kills you with this attack. It's very difficult to dodge. You have to go all the way behind him. And in this video, you see me fight him. You can't actually see the Efflusium because I had a full resistance to Efflusium on that current character. But overall, one of the coolest looking monsters, hardest fights in the game, and definitely something that you should be generally horrified by the idea of. It is literally the god of death. Anyways, that's gonna be the top 10 monsters in Monster Hunter Worlds. Again, if you did enjoy this top 10, or you had other ideas of what you think monsters should be higher up or different places on the list, let me know in the comments down below. And if you did like it, make sure you leave a like down below so other people can see it, and subscribe. I know this is the whole like plug meta, but subscribe for more if you want to see more. Like legit, if you want to see more of like top 10s of monsters, weapons, and random stuff in the future, subscribe. Anyways, my name's been Chronic, and I'll see you guys on the next one.